Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I'm your host Faisal and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, as we all know that Mr. Donald Trump returning to the White House as a 47th President of the United States. Pakistan bracing itself for another cautious period in the bilateral relationship with the United States, despite the intention to have closer ties. The history tells us that previous Trump administration was marked with strained ties, cutting off the aid or assistance and imposing lots of sanctions. And that mantra was continued during the Biden administration. But what can Pakistan expect this time around? With Trump's cabinet picks, particularly the former intelligence chief Richard Grenell and Senator Marco Rubio, known for their hard stance, tough stance on Pakistan and favoring India. Now the situation is that Pakistan's growing economic and strategic ties with China may be a point of contention, given the Trump administration's critical view of the China's rise and supporting India as a so-called counterweight to China. Meanwhile, Pakistan is actually still reeling from the aftermath of the US forces withdrawal from Afghanistan, which has actually led to the surge in terrorism and instability in the region. Question is, will the Trump administration take a more proactive approach towards the real issues in the region, in South Asia particularly? Take more focus on Afghanistan, particularly in terms of terrorism and more than 24 of the terrorist organizations who have took refuge in Afghanistan. Then the Kashmir issue, at which Mr. Donald Trump himself was a proponent for mediation between Pakistan and India during earlier tenure. Or Pakistan will be left to fend for itself. On Trump's return to power, we will explore into the key issues which actually shape Pakistan-US relationship, from security to counter-terrorism, from trade, investments to the climate change. We will examine the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for Pakistan in its new era of the United States politics. To discuss this very imperative issue for Pakistan, we have in our studios Dr. Rizwan Naseer. He is International Affairs Analyst, Senior Research Fellow working at Institute of Regional Studies, Islamabad, IRS. Most welcome to you, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much.
Faisal Saab, for having me at your show.
And with him, Dr. Saira Abbasi. She is International Relations Expert and also Senior Assistant Professor at the Bahria University, Islamabad. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your presence here. And online joining us, Colonel Retired Mohammad Abid Latif, he is the Strategic Affairs Expert. Most welcome to you, Colonel Saab. Thank you very much for your presence online. My first question is to you, Dr. Saira, that Pakistan faced an extremely bumpy and a roller coaster ride during the US Biden administration particularly. President Biden never spoke to any of the Pakistani leadership during his term. Then very little support extended to Pakistan, except some of the support related to the International Monetary Fund, we know that. And lots of sanctions, especially on Pakistan's missile program and associated companies. Whether we expect the same tough times and roadblocks ahead in the Trump administration, or something will get improved amid the US policy towards China and India?
Thank you, Mr. Faisal, for having me at your show. Historically, if we have to analyze the Pak-US relations, the nature of Pak-US relations have been quite mixed and complex in the sense that sometimes it is always playing between alternative things. Sometimes it is based on strategic partnership, and on the other hand, sometimes there are strained communications and relations. Mentioning about the last term of the Biden administration, I would say that that was circumstantial as well, because the responses from the Pakistani government at that time was quite stringent also. So we cannot expect the similar thing from the upcoming Trump administration. However, if you see the Trump's last administration in foreign policy, it was based on transactional foreign policy, which is based on more what you can offer us and what we can give you. So I am very optimistic, and I believe that if Pakistan would be able to align its priorities with the US policies, I think there could be some kind of lessening the frosty relations between the two states. The most important thing at the moment for the Pakistani government is to find the ways where the interest could converge between the United States of America and Pakistan. And of course they would want of course some Pakistan has to compromise to some extent, particularly its relations with China, maybe Iran, and countries like these. And if Pakistan would be able to align its interest with the US, particularly in the realm of the counter-terrorism and all that, the good things could happen. But like I said, it's transactional, so Pakistan has to see that what they can offer to the United States of America.
Your point well taken. Dr. Rizwan, Trump's one of the choice is the former intelligence chief and the ex-ambassador to Germany, Mr. Richard Grenell, for the slot of special envoy on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Yeah. But in Germany, during his ambassadorial assignment, he was declared persona non grata. Due to his alleged interference into the German sovereignty, and some of the German opposition members, including the deputy leader of the Free Democrats, declared him acting like a high commissioner of an occupying power, who always dictates to Germans. On the same lines, his tweets about Pakistan's internal matters suggest that he has never quitted the habit of interference, and he is more interested in Pakistan rather the Russia-Ukraine conflict. So what do you think about it?
Well, thank you for inviting me to your show. I will begin by answering the first part of your question, which is he was first in Germany when he was declared persona non grata. Actually, when it comes to, there are some personalities who have some habit of interference. He was a choice that when he was put there for his duties, and when you are put somewhere, you need to understand the culture of that country as well. Bilateral relations are the utmost priority as well. But Germany is also an advanced democracy, but they should also learn the German culture. Germans are very nationalist about this thing. And if I would recall the time when Angela Merkel, she raised a concern that NSA is watching over her phone was being taped, and where other correspondence Germany was doing other. So that is also a context. When Germans were unhappy, this kind of things again were happening. They declared it. It is very big. Persona non grata is the last resort. When
Obviously,
they declare
it is.
And they do not want that person because. And in the diplomatic practices,
it's a kind of thing, unwanted personality.
They declared him and went back. Now he is being appointed on a very critical issue, which is going on for a couple of years now. And what is happening? What is happening? The Trump administration wants to prioritize it, because if you recall, Putin and Trump, it was called as a bonhomie between them. They were called as they were very close to each other, sharing views as well. Whenever they were shaking hand on screen, you could see that it was not at that smile exchange and shaking hand for a longer period, which was unusual for the people. Now what I'm personally thinking, Trump wants to resolve it. And when we look at the dynamics of the war itself, Russia has exhausted and Ukraine has exhausted because of the
So when we are talking about particularly, Trump has a view about the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but Richard Grenell is more interested in Pakistani politics and in interfering into the internal affairs of Pakistan through his social media appearances and writings and all that. So why is it so?
Mr. Faisal, when we look at that, Grenell and other, when we see Americans, when they find out on social media they are being getting popularity, There are some people, you know, this is an age where people are launching information operation, and he is getting a response on his tweet. He finds that if he has tweeted once, people are saying, lauding him, yes, you have done a great job, and his you know, following increasing overnight. And if we should not see it into the strategic perspective, we should see into more kind of this, because from his official position, I'm very much sure he won't be doing this, because once he assuming that position, he will be from a official viewpoint. He
but
will
unfortunately,
be talking
his tweets and interference also categorize him as a non-serious person on that account, really. So when we are talking about another personality, Dr. Saira, U.S. Republican Senator Marco Rubio, he is a bit a cunning person, very shrewd on that, but most of the times we have seen that he always go for anti-Pakistan legislations and all that. So possibly be the part of the Trump's administration, because all of them needs ratification from the House or from Senate. So as the next Secretary of State, he is known to the undue favors to India, completely against China and Pakistan too. He introduced a bill last year, which is still pending with their House, to treat India with same status as the US ally Israel regarding transfer of technologies, defense, economy and all other fields, while bar Pakistan's assistance if found using force, proxies or terrorism against India. So how do you see, because we are listening something from our neighbor as well in the just a couple of days back, it seems it's a kind of linkage in between.
Marco Rubio is considered as hawks regarding China and Pakistani position in the US foreign policy. And as you have just mentioned about last year, he presented a bill in which he was giving more rights to the India to make it more pronounced as a partner of the United States of America. So that would definitely implicate Pakistan in the sense that if anything would, especially in the context of the proxies and the cross-border infiltration, so that would have implications on Pakistan, that is true. But I would like to bring your attention towards the Elon Musk, who would be joining the cabinet of the Trump administration, and he is very pro to China.
Yes.
So if there is also a possibility, because the Trump administration has invited Chinese leadership on their inauguration ceremony, and they did not invite Modi on their inauguration ceremony. So at the moment, I think it is very uncertain and ambiguous that what kind of policy Trump administration would adopt regarding China and Pakistan. And China is a critical factor vis-a-vis US-Pak relations also. So I think this ambiguity, when nothing is certain, anything is possible. So I believe that maybe involvement of Elon Musk would bring more cautious approach in dealing with China, and that would bring the positive gains for the Pakistani side also. But if we have to see the implication vis-a-vis if India would get more funds and assistance and security assurances and guarantees, of course it would negatively implicate not only Pakistan, but it will be bringing the regional stability at the stake also, because there could be more assertiveness on the part of the India towards not only Pakistan but to the other regional states also. So that would, I believe, destabilize Pakistan, and then the Talibans who are coming closer to the India and in Afghanistan, the Taliban.
So do you think that Marco Rubio, as a Secretary of State who always favors India, is going to be a negative sign for Pakistan in Washington?
It definitely negative sign of Pakistan, but I am again saying that maybe the United States current position on China would bring some kind of conduciveness towards Pakistan as well.
Especially when it comes to Russia, might be if this conflict is going to be ended, or in a sense there would be some peace between Ukraine and Russia? Might be there would be some relief on China front as well.
Yes, because one thing which is certain about the Trump is, one thing is that he's very unconventional and unpredictable
yes,
at the same time.
He
And he said that he does not want to involve the United States into the wars and conflicts. Although he announced the tariffs against China and India as well. So like I said, his approach is very transactional. So if he would see that, you know, the world is changing, and I think United States understood the fact that in the economic realm,
but United States changed already, so there are lots of apprehensions there, but we must have a ray of hope on that. Colonel Retired Abid Latif Sahab, how a Trump administration will translate actually Pakistan's growing economic, military, strategic and tech ties with China, as his choices for his cabinet tells us that they will be more critical of the China's surge, particularly rise in economic front and even the military, especially regarding the Belt and Road Initiative when it comes like China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And this would be more boost to India as a counterweight to China and a so-called net security provider in the Indian Ocean. And terrorism would tend to rise in Pakistan. Most of the experts believe that though Indian foreign policy has its tool to sponsor terrorism at the state level, maligning through the propaganda, malicious activities and nefarious designs globally against most of the countries, including the Western countries. We have seen earlier in case of Canada, the United States, the Britain and lots of other countries. So Pakistan is going to suffer more because there would be more leverage for India in Washington. How do you see that?
Yeah, I think first of all, Trump is a pro bono disruptor. You know, he actually throws all the chessboard down the table, and then he sees that how the chessboard can be rearranged by the reaction of the adversaries or the competitors. And all the appointees, as you were already discussing, like Mike Waltz, like Mario Rubio, or his other appointees, and then Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, these all are also disruptors, and that's why they are giving very unconventional, very seemingly non-diplomatic, non-plausible statements and remarks and, you know, assertions about different countries, about different leaders. So keeping that thing in mind, there is also one thing that first of all, the relationships between any two countries and plus the playing of the foreign policy is always based on geopolitical constants. And to our horror, that geopolitical constant of great power competition has again emerged. And this is the lens through which now America, USA is seeing the complete world. And this is also the lens through which they are seeing Pakistan. A few years back, once the war in Afghanistan was going on and the war on terror was going on, the lens was, the lens was the counterterrorism lens. That is the reason that we had been given non-NATO ally, and that is also being now, right now, being questioned by one of the US lawmaker that has to be revoked. And in that context, I think relationships between Pakistan and USA has to be redefined on sustainable terms. We have always had relations on security terms, on some context and some, some lineage of great competition. Now it has to traverse and it has to be moved towards sustainability, in which trade should come, in which multilateral other areas has to come, in which investments and business and so many other aspects of the relationship, and particularly the economic
Colonel
relationship.
Retired Abid Sahab, Pakistan is the victim of state-sponsored, Indian state-sponsored terrorism since decades, as we have already discussed about Canada, UK, US and all other countries. Recent allegations by the Indian Defence Minister and particularly the Army Chief is the continuation of hiding Delhi's heinous crimes against humanity, global terrorism and promoting actually the nefarious designs against Pakistan. So a statement just days before the Trump's inauguration as a president, the 47th president of the United States, do you not think that India intend that Trump must come harsh on Pakistan, same as he had done earlier during the first term, right at the start, right at the beginning?
Yeah, it's true. India wants to trump up this bogey before the Trumps come into the power, and that is the reason that now we have to have relationships redefined with USA, and that can be done through taking China as a factor, but as an economic part, in terms of economic partnership. We don't have we are not a surrogate state to China. We are not serving the purposes of the security competition as vis-a-vis the China is concerned. The CPEC also is part of a greater economic activity, and we are part of that. And same is true for BRI. China has already even invited USA, and on to counter that, they have given a concept of B3W.
And that's not the activity actually going on in Pakistan only, across the regions. This Belt and Road Initiative is going on. You are absolutely right, definitely.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That is going on. So what is actually what we have to do, that we have to actually project the nefarious activity and the perpetration of this terrorism which has been done by India as a state, and we have to actually tell the world that actually we are the victim, and India is the one, the state which is perpetrating the terrorism all over the globe. But the question is that as the new cabinet or the nominated State Department head or the NSA head of the US NSAs, they are coming, they are already pro-Indians. So keeping that equation in context, I think we have to formulate our policy very prudently, and we have to counter at least these narratives. At least in
I think so, Colonel Retired Abid, you are absolutely right on that approach, because state is very cautious in that matter. And what I know is that Pakistan's Foreign Office and even our leadership is very much eager on that, and they are working hard to have space within the circles in Washington, and our embassy in Washington is also working on those lines. So I think so that there would be some window for opportunity for Pakistan. Your point well taken. Dr. Rizwan, as Colonel Saab rightly pointed out, during the first tenure, Trump had offered to mediate on Kashmir issue between Pakistan and India. That was exactly in July 2019. And the same he has actually reiterated in September 2019 at the sideline of UNGA session. But with the condition that if India and Pakistan both endorse the mediation, you know that, or even Mr. Trump also know that India will never endorse that offer. Do you think that during his now second tenure, Trump will again be focused on resolution of the Kashmir issue, or like Biden administration, US has the least interest in going for that resolution of this core issue between the two nuclear armed nations?
Well, when it comes to Biden administration, it was more focused on Russia-Ukraine war. It was more focused on China. Whereas you just referred to the Trump's last tenure, when he was interested in doing mediation between Pakistan and India, Trump always finds something which can gives him more popularity. Conceptually, if we look at this, it's mediation. Mediation is never is a thing. It's not imposed on the parties. And while getting mediation, both the parties, if they agree, of course, the parties may not agree. If even if it is not going to be imposed on both the parties, why would they make a precedent? And India, of course, was not interested in this, because they knew that if it happens, whatever the decision is coming, it will not be like black and white. This part can be given to India, this part given to Pakistan. Now, upcoming his office, what I expect now, actually Trump has chanted a slogan of making America great again. And when we look at his slogan, how can he make America great again? He has to contain China, because this is the only thing. If he has to contain China, he has to resolve, of course, once again, India and Pakistan, that energy India is using against Pakistan, those in consideration can be used against China, cumulatively.
Definitely.
So that is the interest of the Trump administration. He says, I am a tariff man. What he wants to do, of course, it's going to be very intense, what I see, the trade war. Then regarding Kashmir issue, there will be a debate once again, because Trump wants that if he resolves this, he can focus more on China. Now coming to, of course, the West Asia as well, all things are interrelated. If Kashmir is not resolved, they want India actually to be, as you in your intro said, counterweight to China. Their all energies are on this. I personally view what Trump can say, he can start negotiations once again. He may appoint like someone who can look at that, who can look at this, how India and Pakistan.
Although he has the transactional approach, but he is a kind of personality that he can do anything, and he can do nothing, might be.
One thing is interesting, his
experience. This is a kind of a situation of, I think so, 50-50.
What he is going to face is his alignment with the bureaucracy of United States is not right. The traditional bureaucrats, like last time he was in office, now he is in office again. The traditional bureaucracy is more like working in alignment with the traditional.
By the way, he is more interested to be after those bureaucrats, really, because most of the times he is.
That is why you could see many presidents.
Definitely.
He was harsh on them, actually.
Definitely. So, Dr. Saira, Pakistan was the one who extended assistance to the last Trump administration to end 20 years long US war in Afghanistan and have Doha agreement done with the Afghan Taliban. But during the Biden administration, US forces withdrawal was considered in Washington as a haste, and Trump's expected national security advisor Michael Waltz was against that particularly. Now, when Afghan Taliban enjoying billions of dollars from Washington, Trump himself acknowledged that it is the case. And many Republicans know that $40 million a week and billions of dollars, at least $21 billion already extended to Taliban from 2021. And these are the figures from the Republican Party, of who is the right now winning party, and have a lot more majority in House and Senate as well. So, would that be halted, and the arms supply to Afghan Taliban or the terrorist organization who are enjoying safe havens over there, that would be checked? Whether at this US extend support to Pakistan as well, because Pakistan is the main sufferer because of the US withdrawal.
The situation regarding US support to Pakistan under Trump administration, especially Michael Waltz as national security advisor to the Trump administration, is uncertain at the moment, I would again say.
By the way, during Trump administration, he also introduced a legislation as well, which needs ratification from the intelligence chief or director before the US forces withdrawal from Afghanistan, whether it's needed or not.
Yes, Michael Waltz also regarded as a hawks towards Pakistan.
He is.
But his views are still emerging, but we know that he has a strong stance on security issues, particularly the use of proxies and militancy. But specific policies are not yet been announced. So we have to see that we have to watch and monitor the upcoming statements of the Michael Waltz. But there is a strong possibility that the US would reassess its policies towards the funds that and the aid and assistance that they have been giving to the Talibans, and of course towards Pakistan there will be a more tougher stance. Again, I would assert to the fact that Pakistan must find its way to align its policies with the priorities of the Washington. So if Pakistan would be able to do that, then but that would require, of course, strong diplomacy on the side of the Pakistan, and to adopt a more cautious approach along the borders of Pakistan and Afghanistan, as well as kind of giving assurances to the United States of America that Pakistan is doing enough in the realm of the counterterrorism. Only then there could be a softer stance, but otherwise, of course, Pakistan
means
has to face.
This time also there should be some sort of a in bracket, do more.
And we all know that there are always continuation of the policies in the United States of America. It doesn't matter who is replacing whom.
Definitely, we have seen it. We have seen it very closely, because after the first Trump administration, then the Biden administration, both were the same. If we just weigh them, they were the same. So there was not much difference, and we are not feeling it during the Trump administration as well. So Colonel Retired Abid Latif Sahab, how do you see, because you might have a very close eye on that, the defense aspects and the military to military ties, how do you see the Trump choices to be like possible Secretary of Defense, Pat Hegseth, despite lots of allegations of illicit activities and army combat veteran and served in Afghanistan as well, Tulsi Gabbard as proposed Director National Intelligence, and ex-US Representative John Ratcliffe, who was Director of the National Intelligence in Trump's first term, now proposed as the CIA Director. Do you think that there would be some seriousness on Afghanistan under Trump administration against terrorism, particularly like the presence of the terrorist groups on Afghan soil, including these Al-Qaeda, because US is very allergic with Al-Qaeda particularly, and they have the training camps for TTP and the rest of the terrorist organizations. The peace and stability in the region is already very fragile, and the US support to these groups, particularly to the Afghan Taliban, is actually in continuation. So particularly with intention to have their policies towards China and Russia, and wants to have some sort of a US presence in Afghanistan, because US troops gone, not the US itself.
With these appointees in chair, in coming days, there is going to be a review of the Afghan policy as far as the elements other than the Afghan Taliban is concerned, as you were talking of Al-Qaeda and ISIS and others and other affiliates. But as we know that the weaponry which has been left behind by US and its lethality, its permeability, not only across the border to Pakistan, but even being found in Middle East and till other regions of the world also. It is a thing which has, I think they have to reckon it as well, because these weapons, particularly the small arms, the sniper rifles and other of alike, if these are a source of instability for the nations and are the weapon of choice for non-state elements, number one. And number two, with particularly with the appointment of John Ratcliffe as CIA Director, and as he had experience in Afghanistan also, and with Tulsi Gabbard, I think they are going to review their policy, and once again they will be in consonance with the desire to cooperate with Pakistan and stabilize the region, particularly the Afghan-Pakistan border, so that the relationship between both the countries should at least come to a level where they should not become a pretext for a global event or a global terrorism activity beyond the frontiers. So I think I have a lot of hope, and I think this will happen very soon as the new government or the new administration takes the reins in Washington.
Your point well taken, sir. Your point well taken. Dr. Rizwan, Trump pick for Homeland Security is South Dakota's Governor Kristi Noem. She always stressed to have strict security at the Mexican border, particularly on war footing, while also intend to implement vast deportation of the illegal foreigners from the United States land. And the Trump was very proactive and very vocal during his election campaigns. What would be the ultimate impact on Pakistan when it comes to the Trump's policy of sending millions home from the US, especially when we are talking about in context of the overseas Pakistanis living in the United States, and particularly those who don't have the legal status there?
Well, Mr. Faisal, when we look at that, Kristi Noem, she is very stringent regarding the illegal immigrants. when we look at America's formation, America was made great because of the immigrants.
Yes.
They encourage immigration, but not the illegal one.
And
yes,
if,
even
if Mr. Trump wants to make America great again, so he has to put focus on legalizing those people who have the talent and living there in the United
yes,
States.
but that is going to be contrary to his statements, what he was making before. Like he was announcing that he will be tough on the illegal immigrants, and he is going to be, as the choice you are just mentioning, Kristi Noem. What I see now, the people from the Pakistan, they went through various channels. One, they went for visit, they settled there, and they don't have any documentation. Of course, the legal ones are contributing to the great extent to Pakistan's stature, Pakistan's soft power, Pakistan's economy. They are doctors, engineers. Now coming back to the people who do not have documentation, that's going to be a challenge for Pakistan as well. Because if such a big number, because I don't have the exact number, but illegal immigrants, because they are undocumented, there is no exact number for that. If they are deported, which are they announcing and going to do, I personally believe it is going to have a greater impact on, because those people, even though are there, but whatever they are there, they're sending money back to Pakistan, because families, extended families,
definitely those remittances are very important for Pakistan.
But at the same time,
because they are contributing a lot into the economy.
Yes, if they are even caught, it will be having, like, they will be contacting Pakistan.
And by the way, Pakistanis are very cautious on that front particularly.
Yes,
so,
they are. And one last thing I would like to say, that even there are two options. Trump, as you said, they may consider, because some of the families who have children there on the sympathetic ground, their children are legal, but the parents aren't, because it varies from case to case.
There are different categories.
They will be strategizing accordingly, because such policy, if it is announced across the board, will be insane kind of thing, because it will not be popular. As he wants to cleanse America because due to illegal immigrants, I think so. His policy is going to be more rational towards dealing with illegal.
Dr. Saira, very brief, because we have run short of time. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif written a letter to the US President Joe Biden for a favorable consideration for Dr. Afia Siddiqui's mercy petition on humanitarian grounds. Government also sent a delegation to the United States to garner support in this regard particularly. But still the mercy petition is pending with the US administration. Whether any hope that the Trump administration will make it decisive in the near future?
Frankly, I don't have any hope in this regard, because for the America, the domestic political optics are always very important over the diplomacy. And it is very crucial to understand that the Dr. Siddiqui's case is legally sensitive and controversial inside America. So any decisions to grant clemency or a favorable ruling would face domestic criticism over the Trump administration, and I don't think that he would like to take it at the moment.
Definitely. So, Dr. Rizwan, how will Trump's trade policies going to affect Pakistan? Because Pakistan at least have a more than of $3 billion US trade in textile only, exports to United States, and it's a huge market for Pakistani exports. So, what would be the ultimate impact, particularly on the textile products and Pakistan's exports to the United States, if tariffs imposed?
In my view, there are two ways. Number one, if the traditional exports to United, like you said, just the cotton and textile, etc., that is a different thing. What I'm saying, at the same time, Pakistan's IT exports are increasing as well. A lot of potential in Pakistan's IT industry. A lot of startups have gained a lot of international fame as well. So I think so. If there is a chance, in that case, if Trump gets tough because of the China factor on Pakistan, then of course on the other side there's another window of opportunity that Pakistan can cater for that deficiency which is going to be from this traditional sector. So at the same time, I would reiterate, the Trump administration should see Pakistan in a broader context, not in the context of China only. Pakistan is a sovereign country. Pakistan is always a good friend with America and China. We are balancing relationship, and we are independent states. So there are some lobbies, like Indian lobby is very proactively working that Pakistan should be seen through that lens, because it favors their
Definitely.
interest.
They are always proactive and working against Pakistan in WTO as well, World Trade Organization, and lots of, we have seen FATF as well, Financial Action Task Force. Colonel Retired Abid Latif Saab, be brief on that, because we have run short of time. So what would be the ultimate impact of reintroduction of legislation by a far-right Republican from Arizona, Congressman Andy Biggs, known for his hardline position to revoke Pakistan's status as a major non-NATO ally, as designation? Pakistan has held this from since 2004, and when Washington is actually engaging with the Afghanistan, Taliban, and have the Doha Agreement done on these bases particularly. So, do you think that it is going to affect Pakistan at this juncture if happened?
I don't think so, because Mr. Biggs has already, I think twice in the past, he has already proffered such type of a legislation, and which was never, got the accumulated support of the member of the House.
Every year he submit a legislation about Pakistan, and particularly this one.
Particularly this one. It is third time it is being repeated, and moreover, just about 2 months back, once WHO, he has also tabled legislation against WHO that they are supporting Hamas or
Palestinians,
or other
innocent
terrorist
Palestinians,
groups
definitely.
So I don't think so that his legislation and his legal insinuations are taken very seriously by the sane quarters. And I don't think so that it will have any implications on Pakistan.
So, Kalsa, what could be the ultimate implications of Pakistan's defense and military-to-military relations, particularly with the United States, as during the last Trump administration, Pakistan harmed a lot, particularly when we are talking about the 1.3 billion US aid cut off to Pakistan, including 350 million in the security assistance coalition support fund to Pakistan, and halted military training programs as well. So how do you see whether we are going to revive some sort of a defense and military-to-military ties with the United States in coming days or months, or situation would be standstill?
I think under the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961 of USA, I think it has some time that sort of a reconciliation in which the military aid was stopped to Pakistan by the Trump earlier, and also the training programs and mutual other areas in which we were having a cooperation. I think it will take a little time once we have other relations, non-traditional relations, improving on a sustainable vector. But as Dr. Saab was saying, Dr. Rizwan, already this year the trade relationship between Pakistan and USA has improved. We are now touching about $8 billion, and even trade relations in things other than the textile and other than the software has improved more than 50%. So I think we have to actually ascertain the common grounds. We have to discover those grounds. We have to trade on those grounds, move ahead, and then I think the security relations will also come by on the way.
Definitely, you are absolutely right. Thank you very much, Colonel Retired Abid Latif Saab, for being with us online and for your candid views. Thank you very much, Dr. Naseer, for here in the studios. Thank you very much, Saira, for being here in the studios. Viewers, as you have just listened to our past, stress is upon that Pakistan-US relations have a very bright history. Although we have a roller coaster ride and lots of bumpy journeys together, but in all crust and trough situation, there are always hopes between both the countries to have better relations. And during the Trump administration, next Trump administration, there would be a lot of hope existing that these relations would be again be at the soft side. So it might be the transactional relation, and we have to be cautious on that approach as well. But there is an opportunity. Afghanistan is going to be an opportunity. The counter-terrorism is going to be an opportunity. The trade between both the countries, and particularly Pakistan exports, and as our panelists said, that this trade volume is increasing day by day. It's about $8 billion US, including the IT and the textile exports to the United States. So I think so that there would be a lot of room. But unfortunately, the Trump's hawkish cabinet could be problematic for Pakistan, who always favors India. And they consider so-called that India is a net security provider, or might be the so-called counterweight to China, but the situation on ground might be not that much. So might be there would be a tougher stance from Washington, but Pakistan has to be patient on that, and our diplomacy must have to be very proactive, and lobbying must have to be there. Like lots of hopes, Elon Musk can be a factor to have better relations between both the countries. Then Russia-Ukraine conflict, if resolution would be there, if that conflict would be settled down, then Russia has a very close relationship with China. So through Russia, might be there would be a closer tie between United States and China as well. So greater power competition is always there, and that is there at the doorstep. So Pakistan should have to redefine these relationship with the United States on a sustainable term, and US has to take the position on that as well. If Trump goes to have resolution on Kashmir issue, that would be ultimately a win-win situation in South Asia as well. But if that is just for optics, then it would be a problematic between not only between Pakistan and India, but also for the entire region. So trade wars will increase because of the tariffs, and US-Afghan policy might be reviewed because of some of the people's presence over there. And as the heat might be, Washington is feeling as well after the Doha agreement, but that needs also a proactive approach from Washington, because Pakistan is suffering because of the US hasty withdrawal, and that needs to be focused in the region. On the other side, military to military defense ties will take time, but the hopes are there, and we have to be hopeful that next Trump administration will take every decision in a manner that there would be peace in the world, and particularly in South Asia. And Pakistan is hoping for that, as Pakistan's intention is very clear. Pakistan wants its fruitful relation with the United States in a sense that to have a win-win situation for both the countries, both for Washington and Islamabad. This is today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.